Oregon is a land of wild beauty, but behind the forests, mountains, and old towns lie places where the living and the dead walk side by side. From cursed landmarks to ghost towns frozen in time. These stories are not just legends, they're chilling encounters that many have sworn are real. Tonight, we continue our journey into the shadows. Welcome to part 2 of Oregon's most haunted places. The 16. Oregon Vortex, Gold Hill. In the early 1900s, miners stumbled upon a strange patch of land near Gold Hill, Oregon, where nothing seemed to behave as it should. Locals soon built a small shack, known as the House of Mystery, to study the area, and by 1930 it opened to the public. Here, balls roll uphill, brooms stand on their own, and people appear to grow or shrink simply by walking a few feet. Scientists once suggested optical illusions, but visitors swear it's something darker. For decades, reports have described ghostly figures flickering in and out of sight within the warped shack. In the 1940s, workers claimed to hear disembodied voices calling their names when no one was around. Tourists have taken photos with unexplained shadows behind them, and some felt icy hands brush against their arms in the middle of summer. Even skeptics admit the site exudes an unsettling presence. Animals often refuse to cross the boundary, as if sensing something humans cannot. They say the Oregon Vortex is more than just a trick of the eye. It's a place where the veil between worlds has thinned. Step too far into the circle, and you might not leave alone. 17. Holcomb Creek Trestle, Washington County. Built in 1905, the Holcomb Creek Trestle stands as one of Oregon's largest wooden railroad trestles, stretching nearly 200 feet across the valley. Originally constructed to carry freight and passengers through Washington County, it has seen over a century of rumbling trains echoing across its beams. But alongside its engineering marvel came tragedy. Workers died during construction, and accidents over the decades left their mark on the structure's history. Locals whisper that the trestle is haunted by those who never left. Late at night, witnesses report hearing the rhythmic pounding of phantom footsteps along the tracks, long after the last train has passed. Some claim to see a lantern swinging in the darkness, only to vanish when approached, believed to be the spirit of a worker who fell to his death during the bridge's early days. On foggy evenings, ghostly silhouettes are spotted moving across the trestle, dissolving into the mist as quickly as they appear. The Holcomb Creek Trestle isn't just a relic of Oregon's past. It's a monument where the living and the dead still cross paths. And if you dare to stand beneath it, you may hear the echoes of those who never made it home. 18. Fort Stevens, Hammond. Constructed in 1863 during the Civil War, Fort Stevens guarded the mouth of the Columbia River for over 80 years. It stood watch through the Spanish-American War, World War I, and World War II. In 1942, it became the only military installation in the continental United States to be attacked by a Japanese submarine. Though no casualties were reported, today, its crumbling batteries and damp concrete tunnels are preserved as part of a state park, but the soldiers who once patrolled its grounds seem unwilling to leave. Visitors often report hearing the faint shuffle of boots echoing through the underground corridors, long after closing hours. Shadows resembling uniformed soldiers have been spotted near Battery Russell, where guards once stood in the dead of night. Some park rangers tell of chilling encounters, a sudden drop in temperature, the sound of whispered commands, and even the metallic clang of ghostly weapons. One visitor swore he saw a figure in a World War II helmet standing at attention, only to vanish into the darkness when approached. Fort Stevens may be silent now, but its restless garrison remains on duty. Step inside the batteries, and you might just find yourself standing shoulder to shoulder with the ghosts of forgotten soldiers. 19. Bunkhouse, Salem. Built in 1861 by pioneer Asahel Bush's brother-in-law, the Bunkhouse is one of the oldest surviving farmhouses in Polk County, near Salem. It was once the heart of a thriving homestead, with orchards, livestock, and generations of the Brunk family living and dying within its walls. Today, it's preserved as a historical site. But history isn't the only thing that lingers here. Visitors and caretakers alike have reported eerie disturbances inside the house. Footsteps echo across the upstairs hallway when no one is there. Doors creak open on their own, and cold drafts sweep through rooms even in the height of summer. Some have claimed to see the ghostly figure of a woman in period clothing, gazing out from an upstairs window, believed to be Clara Brunk, who died tragically young. Paranormal investigators have captured unexplained voices, soft sobbing, faint whispers calling out names as though the house itself remembers the pain of those who lived there. The Brunk House stands as more than a relic of Oregon's pioneer days. It's a place where love, loss, and sorrow refuse to fade. And if you dare to walk its creaking floors at night, you may discover you're not alone in the dark. 20. Oaks Park, Portland. Opened in 1905, Oaks Amusement Park in Portland is one of the oldest continually operating amusement parks in the United States. Known as the Coney Island of the Northwest, it was once a grand destination for families, complete with roller coasters, carousels, and dance halls. But beneath the cheerful music and flashing lights lies a darker side that has lingered for decades. The park's most famous haunt centers on the Oaks Park roller rink, a beloved landmark where generations have skated beneath glittering chandeliers. Employees and visitors alike have reported strange occurrences, the organ playing by itself, skates gliding across the floor when no one is near, and the chilling laughter of unseen children echoing through the rink after hours. Some claim to see the figure of a little girl in old-fashioned clothing, standing near the rental counter, always silent, always watching, before vanishing without a trace. Even the park grounds seem charged with an unsettling energy. Cold spots, sudden shadows, and flickering lights plague staff long after the gates close. While Oaks Park remains a place of joy by day, by night, it becomes a carnival of whispers and phantoms. They say every laugh at the park is matched by a cry you cannot hear, unless you stay after dark. Chapter 21. Timberline Lodge, Mount Hood. Completed in 1937 as part of a New Deal project, Timberline Lodge is a masterpiece of rustic architecture perched high on the slopes of Mount Hood. Built by craftsmen using massive stone and timber, it was meant to embody the resilience of the era. Later, it gained worldwide fame when its exterior was featured as the Overlook Hotel in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. But the lodge itself carries a reputation for hauntings that chill guests and staff alike. Inside, visitors report an unsettling presence that seems to follow them through the long, wood-paneled corridors. Housekeepers tell of rooms that suddenly drop to freezing temperatures, bed sheets tugged by invisible hands, and shadows that move across walls, even when no light source is near. The most famous apparition is a spectral man seen standing at the end of hallways, dressed in old-fashioned clothing, watching silently before fading away. Some say he is a long-lost mountaineer who never returned from the mountain's treacherous slopes. Even more unnerving are the reports of phantom footsteps pacing above the Grand Lodge Hall, echoing late into the night when the upper floors are locked and empty. Guests often wake to the feeling of being watched, as though the hotel itself is alive, observing, waiting. At Timberline Lodge, the line between cinematic fiction and terrifying reality blurs, and when the mountain wind howls against its windows, you may wonder if the Overlook's horrors are closer to truth than you ever imagined. 22. Jacksonville Cemetery, Jacksonville. Founded in 1859, the Jacksonville Cemetery is one of Oregon's oldest burial grounds, resting on a quiet hillside above the historic gold rush town. Pioneers, settlers, and families who built the region were laid to rest here, their headstones weathered by time. But with so much history buried in its soil, it's no surprise that not every spirit has found peace. Visitors often describe hearing disembodied voices drifting through the graves at dusk, soft conversations in languages long forgotten. Ghostly lantern lights are seen weaving between tombstones, as if mourners from another century are still paying their respects. Paranormal investigators have recorded unexplained electromagnetic spikes and captured chilling EVP whispers calling out names. One of the most famous legends is of a woman in a white gown who appears weeping near the older sections of the cemetery. Witnesses say she vanishes when approached, leaving behind only the icy chill of sorrow. Others have claimed to see shadowy figures lurking among the crypts, watching silently from the darkness by day. Jacksonville Cemetery is a peaceful monument to Oregon's pioneers. But at night, the silence is broken by echoes of the past voices of the dead who refuse to be forgotten. And if you wander too far among the graves, you might find the past staring back at you. 23. Oregon Caves Chateau Cave Junction. Built in 1934, the Oregon Caves Chateau is a 6-story rustic lodge tucked deep in the Siskiyou Mountains. Designed with cedar bark siding and perched beside the entrance to the Oregon Caves National Monument, it was intended as a retreat for travelers seeking adventure in the wilderness. Yet behind its charming storybook facade lies one of the state's most unsettling hauntings. The most infamous legend centers on a young woman who is said to have taken her own life within the lodge during the mid-1930s. Guests and staff claim her spirit never left. Late at night, footsteps echo through empty hallways, and doors creak open by unseen hands. Some visitors have awoken to the feeling of someone sitting on their bed, only to find the room completely empty. The dining room is especially notorious. Workers have heard silverware clattering when no one is there, while chandeliers sway as if stirred by an invisible presence. Even more chilling are the reports of a pale woman's reflection appearing in mirrors, vanishing the moment you turn to look. Though the Oregon Caves Chateau is celebrated as a National Historic Landmark, its shadowed halls hold more than history. They hold echoes of heartbreak, forever trapped in the mountain lodge. And when the night grows still, the walls seem to whisper her sorrow, daring you to listen. 24. White Eagle Saloon, Portland. Opened in 1905, the White Eagle Saloon quickly gained a reputation as one of Portland's most notorious establishments. Located near the waterfront, it was once a rough bar, brothel, and opium den, attracting dock workers, gamblers, and drifters. Hidden tunnels connected the saloon to the Willamette River, feeding rumors that it was part of Portland's infamous Shanghai tunnels, where unsuspecting victims were drugged and smuggled onto ships. With such a dark past, it's no wonder the White Eagle is considered one of the city's most haunted places. Bartenders and patrons report hearing phantom footsteps on the old wooden stairs and the eerie sound of a woman crying in the night. Some say it's the spirit of a young woman who was murdered in one of the upstairs rooms, her screams still echoing more than a century later. Glasses have been known to fly off shelves, doors slam shut with violent force, and employees refuse to enter certain areas alone after dark. Perhaps the most unsettling stories come from those who claim to feel invisible hands grabbing their shoulders or brushing across their backs when no one is near. Today, the White Eagle Saloon thrives as a music venue, but its walls hold memories of violence, sorrow, and restless spirits. And when the music fades and the crowd goes home, the ghosts of Portland's past are said to take the stage. 25. Lord and Shriver Conservatory, Salem. Built in the 1930s, the Lord and Shriver Conservatory was part of the historic Gaiety Hollow Gardens, designed by Elizabeth Lord and Edith Shriver, the first female-owned landscape architecture firm in the Pacific Northwest. The conservatory, a small glass structure filled with exotic plants, was a place of beauty and calm. But time has turned its charm into something far more unsettling. Visitors walking the grounds often describe an uneasy silence, as though the air itself is heavy with secrets. At night, the conservatory windows sometimes glow faintly from within, even when no lights are on inside. Some have claimed to see the shadowy figure of a woman tending to the plants, her hands moving carefully among flowers that no longer bloom. When approached, she vanishes, leaving only the faint scent of lilies lingering in the air. Paranormal investigators have reported sudden temperature drops, the sound of glass tapping from the inside, and disembodied whispers echoing across the garden paths. The most chilling encounters involve people feeling watched, like unseen eyes, following them from behind the glass panes. Though Gaiety Hollow stands as a tribute to art and design, the conservatory feels like a place suspended between beauty and sorrow. And if you dare to linger too long after dark, you might just see a gardener from another time, still tending her eternal garden. 6. Shaniko Ghost Town, Shaniko. Founded in 1900, Shaniko was once hailed as the wool capital of the world. Trains rolled through its depot. The Grand Shaniko Hotel welcomed travelers, and the bustling streets echoed with the sound of prosperity. But when the railroad line shifted and commerce died, the town was abandoned almost overnight, leaving behind a shell of its former glory. Today, its empty buildings and windswept streets have earned Shaniko its title as one of Oregon's eeriest ghost towns. Visitors say the past hasn't truly left. The old Shaniko Hotel is the heart of the haunting. Guests report hearing disembodied footsteps pacing the halls and laughter drifting from rooms long vacant. Some have seen a woman in a long, old-fashioned dress gliding across the stairwell before vanishing into the shadows. Others claim the piano in the lobby plays by itself soft, mournful notes echoing into the night. The deserted jail and schoolhouse also have their share of stories. Paranormal investigators have captured strange voices on recordings, whispers of children, and once, a man growling, "Get out." Cold spots, flickering lights, and shadowy figures appearing in windows are common enough that locals avoid the area after dark. Shaniko may be a ghost town by name, but its restless spirits make sure it's more than just a relic of the past. And when the desert wind howls through its empty streets, It carries with it the voices of a town that refuses to be forgotten. 27. Mahonia Hall, Salem. Built in 1924 for Oregon timber baron Thomas Livesley, Mahonia Hall is a striking Tudor-style mansion that later became the official residence of Oregon's governors. With its towering gables, sweeping staircases, and intricate woodwork, it was designed to showcase wealth and power. But beneath the elegance, the house carries whispers of something darker. Staff and visitors have long reported strange occurrences within its walls. Doors open and close on their own, and footsteps echo down empty corridors late at night. Some claim to see the apparition of a tall man in a suit, believed to be Livesley himself, still surveying the home he built. Others describe the unsettling sensation of being watched while walking through the grand hallways, as if unseen eyes follow their every move. One of the most chilling stories comes from the basement. Maintenance workers have reported sudden drops in temperature, along with the sound of faint voices murmuring just beyond the shadows. Paranormal investigators have captured unexplained EVP's whispers that seem to call out names, though no one is there. Though Mahonia Hall now serves as a symbol of Oregon's political leadership, it remains a place where history lingers in spectral form. Its beauty may dazzle in daylight, but when night falls, the mansion becomes something else entirely, a reminder that power and prestige cannot keep away the ghosts of the past. 28. Oregon Caves National Monument, Josephine County. Discovered in 1874 by Elijah Davidson, the Oregon Caves quickly became a natural wonder, drawing explorers into its winding passages carved from marble over millions of years. In 1909, it was declared a national monument, a place where science and tourism intertwined. But alongside its geological marvels, the caves carry a far more sinister reputation. Deep within the caverns, guides and visitors alike have reported unsettling phenomena. Strange lights flicker in the pitch-black tunnels, and cold drafts sweep through chambers where no wind should reach. The most famous legend speaks of a ghostly woman in white, believed to be the spirit of a bride who vanished in the caves more than a century ago. Some say her cries for help still echo faintly through the stone corridors, a desperate plea that chills the blood of anyone who hears it. Park rangers have admitted to experiencing eerie sensations being followed, touched by unseen hands, and hearing voices whispering from the darkness. Photographs taken inside the caves have revealed misty figures and shadow-like forms, even when no one else was present. What was meant to be a monument to nature's beauty has become one of Oregon's most unnerving sights. The caves invite you to marvel at their wonder, but as the lights dim and silence falls, you may find yourself face to face with something that was never meant to be disturbed. Chapter 29. Old St. Francis School, Bend. Built in 1936 as a Catholic school run by the Sisters of St. Joseph, Old St. Francis School was once filled with the voices of children reciting lessons and the solemn hymns of daily mass. Decades later, it was transformed into a McMenamin's hotel and pub, carefully preserving its historic charm while giving the old classrooms and hallways new life. But along with the renovations came a surge of ghostly encounters. Guests and staff report seeing shadowy figures drifting through the old hallways at night. The most chilling stories center around the hotel's basement and hidden hallways, where workers have felt sudden cold spots and the hair-raising sensation of being watched. Some claim to have seen the spirit of a nun, silently gliding through the corridors before vanishing into the walls. The soaking pool, a tranquil spot by day, is not immune to the supernatural. Visitors describe feeling sudden waves of unease, as if unseen figures gather at the edges of the water. Several EVPs recorded on site captured faint chanting, reminiscent of the prayers once spoken by the sisters who lived and taught here, though it has been reborn as a place of relaxation and entertainment. Old St. Francis School carries with it echoes of its past. Beneath the laughter and clinking glasses, the spirits of those who once walked its halls seem unwilling to let go. And sometimes, if you linger long enough, you might just see them step out from the shadows. 30. Malheur Butte, Malheur County, rising from the flatlands of eastern Oregon. Malheur Butte is an ancient volcanic formation that has long been a landmark for travelers. But its history extends beyond geology. It was once a gathering place for native tribes, and later, in the 19th century, it gained a far darker reputation. Locals whispered that witches held rituals on its slopes, summoning spirits under the cover of night. For over a century, strange sightings have fueled Malheur Butte's haunted legacy. Travelers reported shadowy figures standing motionless at the summit, only to vanish when approached. Hikers describe hearing footsteps crunching behind them, though no one is there, and some claim to feel icy fingers brush against their skin in the still air. Perhaps most unsettling are accounts of disembodied voices, calling out names, sometimes in the tone of a loved one, luring wanderers deeper into the Butte's isolation. Modern visitors still report unsettling experiences. Paranormal investigators have captured unexplained orbs of light darting across the landscape, and several claim their equipment malfunctioned the moment they reached the summit. Even seasoned locals refuse to linger after sunset, warning that the Butte does not welcome the curious. Malheur Butte stands in silence against the Oregon sky, a place where history, legend, and fear intertwine, and those who dare climb it at night often leave with the same chilling impression: something ancient and unseen is still watching. The echoes of Oregon's past are everywhere in abandoned schools, ghost towns, and even the mountains themselves. Each story leaves us with the same haunting question: are these just tales, or warnings from the spirits who never left? Join us in the next chapter as we uncover even more of Oregon's darkest secrets.